This is Trash Talk with your host, Garrett the Trash Man.
Buen día a todos. Soy el hombre de basura. Garrett the Trash Man. What's up, everybody?
Word.
You ready to podcast?
Yeah.
All right, everyone already knows everything. Let's just jump into it.
Okay.
What you got to rant about?
I had an interesting experience this week. An interesting thought
Uh-huh.
that I guess I have thought before, but it was much more meaningful and like profound to me.
Okay.
And so I'm just going to jump in. So I was sitting there thinking, and I was thinking how at times, like, I'll meet someone, like I'll meet a new client, a new employee, or just someone, and, you know, they'll make a request of me, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, I can commit to that. Boom, I help them, bada bing, I jump all in. You know, we do it powerfully. It's great. Voila, it's done. Boom, good experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, useful experience. And then I had this thought like, man, that was cool. And then there's times when I find myself like when I'm just doing my own stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's, you know, it is for other people, but let's be honest, like the main benefit of it is going to be for me or my family.
Anything we do.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
You know,
it's better off for us.
exactly. And I'll be like lagging in it or procrastinating or just like in a funk, like, man, just like not being able to get through it. And I've realized, like, man, if I can, with so little context and hardly knowing someone, jump in and be as committed and create as powerfully in a situation like I shared before, like, why would I not be tenfold committed to myself?
Yeah, why don't I show up for myself like that?
Yeah, like, why am I... That doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I not be that committed to myself and, like, what I've got going on that I'm clear that I want in my life? Like, that just seems silly to me. Or someone who is close to me and means a lot to me, why would I not be that committed to them and what they need?
Well, and I think even like a deeper or a harder question, not even harder, but it goes back to the importance of hierarchies of commitments. And I'll tell you this is real messy for me. If you will show up for someone that is important, let's say your spouse, so powerfully committed in different ways, but then don't show up for yourself with that person in such a powerful or committed way. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Say that again.
Like you'll show up, say, for your spouse in a very, very committed way of what you want to produce for him or her, doing for, but then you don't show up for yourself in regards to that person.
Oh, yeah, I hear you now.
And that, I don't know, that for me is something really tough that, you know, I'm in the, you know, that's tough to work out. Can
Yeah.
be tough.
Absolutely.
But the thing that I want to point out that gets back to is, like, you're number one.
Yeah.
Show up for yourself. Because without you, there's not the rest of the world.
Yeah, like if you're not good, you know, things aren't going to go good. Like if there's a whole bunch of mess going on with you, like you're not going to be able to do other things for other people in the way that you would want to.
And if you are, it's temporary.
Yeah.
It won't be something that's sustainable.
And I just find it so interesting that, like, I mean, and I don't want to speak for other people, but I would guess that people have a similar situation that, like, I know I do that. I'm like, what is wrong with, like, and not like what is wrong with me, but like that's just so stupid to do. Like, why not, like, be committed to myself and those closest to me? And that doesn't mean like I'm being selfish.
No. Yeah. And even if it does, like, who cares?
Yeah. Like
Without you, there's not the rest of your world.
Yeah.
So you got to be number one.
Absolutely. And so anyways, that's my rant. Like, man, if you aren't committed to you and like what you want and you're not showing up in your life that way, like, I know that's something that's been present to me this week, and I've been thinking about it, working on it, and there's plenty of work to do around it. But yeah, that's my invitation, is like, look at it and say like, hey, well, what can I change here?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's best gift you can give to the world, because it's such a special thing to be around a committed person.
Yeah.
And that commitment starts with yourself. So, all right, dude. Well, my rant may take some people off guard, may not. I don't know, but it's something that's just really been bugging me, been festering with me, and what it is kindness. I've had an absolute enough of it. Like I said, this may catch some people off guard, but let's stop with the kindness crap. This be kind bullcrap. Kindness is the excuse that social justice warriors are using to control how we think, control how we act, and like that's the excuse that so many people right now are getting. Like that's the stick that's being wielded, kindness stick, to beat people into being inauthentic and not saying what they believe is true.
Ooh.
Don't be kind. Like tell the truth. That telling the truth is much more important than being kind.
Ooh.
Don't be kind. Be committed to what you want to create in life. And like that doesn't mean that like you have to treat people bad and do all this, but kindness has been morphed into such a, I don't know, in my view, a disgusting thing.
Yeah.
Of
It's been
violate yourself for others.
Yeah.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Freaking stand up for yourself. It goes right along with your freaking be committed to yourself.
Yeah.
All right? And like this is outside of like having empathy, which I think is very important. Listening to others, caring for others. But this whole kind idea, like everyone's feelings or what's going on over them has to go before you. No. If everyone shows up, stands up for themselves, then we can work it out.
You know what that makes me think of?
What?
John Wayne.
Sean Wayne, what's he say?
I've been having my kids watch John Wayne movies because when I get home and if they're watching a movie, it's like some retarded thing that like I don't want my kids watching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go get my wife's phone, turn that movie off, and I'll put on a John Wayne or an old Western. And you want to know why? And here's a perfect example. One of my favorite movies, it's The Hondo with John Wayne in it. There's a 6-year-old kid, and he's helping this widow and her 6-year-old son out on a farm and ranch out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid wants to fish. And he's fishing, but with the sun at his back, and the fish can see the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this goes along with your being kind. And instead of telling the kid how to fish, or telling the kid like some special trick, he just says, listen, like the fish can see your shadow, so you're not catching anything. And he says, well, what do I do? He says, fish on the other side of the river. He says, I can't swim. He says, how old are you? 6. Grabs him, throws him in the river. Mom comes running over. He says, what are you doing? He's going to drown. He says, no, not. He'll learn how to swim because that's what happened to me.
Uh-huh.
And guess what? Some people might think he's mean and rude.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? The kid learned how to swim. So one, he learned how to save his life if he ever fell in the water.
Yep.
And secondly, he learned how to fish because he swam across, caught a fish, and that's what they ate for dinner.
Yep.
Boom. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it makes me think of. It was like, the world is distorted what kindness is.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I believe. Yeah. It's like instead of disciplining your kids, if you just give them what they want every time because you're being kind to them, it's the same with people that you interact in life. It's crazy to me that this is even political, and because it's our podcast, we can go wherever. But I don't plan on this podcast being political. But I think one of the main upfront things is like with freaking transgender people. It's like, be kind, call them what they want to be called. No, like if that's not what they are, then no. Because what they want doesn't get to control me.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be honest of how I see the world and what I see the world as, and like it doesn't help anyone to just cater to them, especially if that doesn't align with like where we are.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
And if their reality is that that's true or whatever is true, that's fine, but that doesn't get to control yours.
No,
So-
I like that. That also brings up, and I think anybody who owns a business will relate to this. Anytime you, in the effort to be what social media or society will call kind nowadays to a client or customer, it creates so many more messes down the road.
Yeah.
If you give them whatever they want because you're doing it in to be kind, quote unquote, it creates so many messes. But if you bring value, if you tell them, okay, this is what works for us, and this is the value we're going to bring, and this is what it's going to do for you. Oh man, so many times they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that works absolutely for me. And guess what? Everyone's still good.
Yeah.
You weren't unkind.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like someone's pissed and has hurt feelings. They're just like, okay, yeah, that works.
Kill kindness. Not
We
kill
should
them with kindness, just kill kindness.
Ooh. Are we going to make a hashtag?
Hashtag kill kindness. Instead, be authentic and honest. Much better. Much better way to go about it.
I like it.
All right, dude. So let's say thank you, Larson Waste, world's best trash company. John, we've got an interesting topic
Mm-hmm.
that we're going to explore a little bit. And it's how to add a little spice to life.
I feel like we need to have Tyler say that for us.
how to keep life interesting, keep it going, which is I think a great topic because I could definitely see you being this way too, John. Actually, I've got a sense that you are this way from some conversations that we have. But me personally, I'm a little bit obsessive. Like I start something and I stay with it and I obsess, and that's like all that's on my mind. That's all that I do. And so it's very easy business-wise, like just fill my life with business and not changing, not variety, not anything. And I've had to be intentional about, okay, listen, I'm going to take this many days this year to go enjoy some hobbies I like. I'm going to go snowboarding 3 times. I'm going to go mountain biking 2 times. Because if not, I'll look back and I haven't gone in 3 years.
Yep.
It's not that I'm not like miserable or like, but like it is not my default to go have variety in my life.
Absolutely.
I will stay in the rut and I will just not move.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's super important to put in that variety. And I'll let you talk, John. I know I've got a habit of just
You're good.
throwing
You
some
do
stuff
you.
out there, but when we brought this up, I said, "Oh yeah, I've got something I've been working on with that," and it's something that I think a lot of people can relate to, and you've definitely been responsible around it. And I would say, what I'm thinking of is time, and in this concept of time, something that takes a lot of people's times, and that is social media.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's social media or anything that's just brainless like that, I really enjoy reading books of people because like people I look up to, I find a lot of people that I'm like, I want to emulate them. I like what they did with their life. They didn't waste time. There was too much to grab in life, to know, to do, to experience. Who I'm thinking in particular, and you recommended his autobiography, is Theodore Roosevelt.
Ooh, old Teddy, man,
Yeah.
that guy.
It's like you could easily spend, many hours a week on social media, on TV shows. And that's not that TV shows don't give you value, but I mean like the mindless watching.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to do. Let me pull out my phone and be entertained. Like I've got nothing. I love movies and I love a good TV show. And there's a difference between like, I'm excited to see this TV show. Let's watch an episode or 2. And I'm numbing myself. It's no different than getting drunk with alcohol.
Yep.
Like I am turning off the world and going numb and just hearing and seeing and like dumbly watching.
Yeah.
And same with social media.
Hence binge.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's the same with social media. There's times where I think it's created quite a bit of value for me and my wife. We'll sit down sometimes and both hop on one and just be sending funny things back and forth, and we're laughing, and it's great. And then there's other times where it's like we're zombies, and what I've realized is like I'm like, I don't have time. Is the only finite resource.
Yeah.
And like I can't. There's too much I want in life that it panics me to think, oh, I'm putting myself to sleep. Like, and if I'm going to do that, hey, at least sleep because that brings some value.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
so I think part of that like spice, like I mention all that because you hear so often, like probably the number one excuse of not doing anything that's out there, time. I don't have enough time. But we all have the same amount of time in any given day.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at someone like Teddy Roosevelt, and you look at someone like me at my worst, and those things aren't like we have the same amount of time.
Yep.
But one is grabbing life, living life, having experiences, like living a full life, and the other option is not.
Ooh.
And like I say, take the former.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of one thing that why I suggested this subject today is because I think it was probably one of my first rants. I had just got done hunting out at the old Blue Rooster. I don't know if you remember
Yep,
this.
I do.
And I literally, it was the first day I had taken off to just go do something fun in like a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was literally like, I literally looked back and I'm like, man, I accomplished a lot in the last year, but like I have no fun memories.
Yeah, and you might have accomplished 10 times if you would have
Yeah.
gone twice a week out.
And exactly. And the other part is that like I had another experience just this week where someone asked me to go to lunch and I was on the phone and I was at home and I was like, yeah, we can go to lunch what day? Boom, scheduled it, boom. And my wife's like, hey, listen, that's all great and I'm happy for you, but like never happens in our marriage. Like, you know, we
Your wife's standing up for herself. I love it. That's
It
that's
was
exactly what I was speaking to.
Exactly. And she was just like, listen, like why can't that happen in our relationship, in our marriage? Like if you know, you and her saying this to me, you have made this like, you know, you say how committed you are to it, like I'm not experiencing that right now. And I said and luckily I was able to say, great, let's create it. When? She says, I don't know. And I said, Friday? Yes. Great. Where do you want to go? I don't know. We're going here. Great. Boom. Scheduled it. It's in the phone. Time frame. We're going to go here. We're going to do some shopping afterwards. Bada bing, bada boom. What I'm getting at is, with those two examples, is like, man, I'm the king of falling into the mundane and just the grind and not really spicing things up. And I think it's so important. And I also want to touch on the fact that I also want to ask you a question and shift just a slight viewpoint of, like, I've got some things I'm working on, but they're a long process stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quick, you know, 2-week project, you know.
Handled.
They're going to be long processes of stuff. Starting businesses, you know, and that's a process. It's not an event. And you're committed to it, and you're in the midst of it. But sometimes, you know, just eating that elephant bite by bite gets mundane, you know. And I find myself at times being like, you know, just kind of taking the bite after the bite. I have to, at times, like, stop myself and look at the big picture again and get myself excited again. Realize, like, hey, listen, this bite by bite section sucks a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, whatever. Like, doesn't matter. Because I know what I'm committed to. And I wanted to touch on that as well of like, yeah, man, if you're up to something and there's some mundaneness to it, like remember why you got yourself into it.
Yeah. And like I love what you're saying there. And I found myself like this idea of being free from money, having financial freedom. A lot of times is talked about like it's some dollar amount against debt that is reached, which I don't agree with. I think it's your relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
Does how much money you have control your internal state? And I've found that idea of like internal state and what controls you plays a huge role in my life and how I'll be acting.
Mm-hmm.
Where say I am in these big projects where it's like, you know, me stepping out for a day and going shooting, calling a buddy and going riding a dirt bike or whatever, or maybe it's even smaller than that, whatever, but actually just stepping away. Like I find myself that if I'm not really being careful, I'll be ran by like this story of like the perceptions that someone might have of me.
Yeah.
And like people that probably aren't even thinking of me or not, or even people that I do care about that are experienced me as totally committed, but I've told myself, like, man, if I'm not here longer than them, leave after them, then, like, it's not going to be the same, which my experience has been that when I'm really showing up, time has nothing to do with if people are experiencing me committed.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm showing up and, like, when I'm with them, like, it's all in and they know they've got all of me and it's go, like, I could then be gone for the next week and it doesn't matter. And then I can come back and go harder with that. So I think it's really important when you're looking at, hey, these things I'd want to do. And I'm not saying that's in every case. I'm just sharing that I found that for myself to be true. Make sure you're not telling yourself these stories that don't make any sense of other people's perception, because then you're just being controlled by other people.
Yeah.
And that's, goes back to the whole kindness thing. Nope. Stand up for yourself. Be authentic to yourself.
Yeah.
So I like what you're saying, John.
Well, thank you. Listening to us talk about this, all I'm really hearing is intentionality.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, man,
Live life on purpose.
live life on purpose. And that is something that is in a very, like, I hope my words can express in some way how strongly I feel about this. I do not want my life to be an accident.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be at the end of my life and be like, hey, made plenty of mistakes, that's fine. But it was not an accidental thing.
Yep.
Like, I meant to do everything I did, and, like, I didn't just let it pass me by.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't up for grabs.
Yep.
Like, that is a big-time no-go.
Things didn't just happen to me and I flowed along and ended up where I ended. And maybe it was good, maybe it wasn't, whatever.
No, that puts a knot in my stomach. Like,
Mhm.
as I think about it right now, I'm like, ugh,
Love it, dude.
no good ski.
All right, dude. Love it. Let's end with one more question for you, John.
Hmm.
Did you catch an elbow in a basketball game?
Oh, this shiner right here.
Yeah.
Yep, I did.
Old Johnny on the freaking hardwood catching an elbow.
Well, funny thing is actually this is not an elbow. This is Porter Caldwell's noggin, and he has got a hard head.
Porter, you idiot.
Oh. But then I did catch a freaking big old fat fence builder's finger right in the eyeball last night.
Damn it, Devin.
No, it wasn't him. It was a different guy. And I wear a mouthpiece because I've broken my teeth 4 times as well in playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at someone on my team and I said, man, I'm going to have to start wearing goggles too.
Well, you're spicing it up playing some sport. I even look up to that, dude. I need to do more of that in my life. Or I intend to do more of that. Not I need to. I'm going to create it.
Sweet.
All right. Appreciate you guys listening. Talk to you next week. Peace.